What's up YouTube, PokePrimer here, primed and ready to deliver you our draft analysis for the UBA here on the channel. The UBA is a draft league that I recently joined thanks to Kyle A. It's a really long story as to how it all went down. Basically, Kyle put up a thing on his channel saying a buddy of his was starting up a draft league for YouTube and Showdown and whatnot. I went ahead and joined it. And the guy in charge was a tad bit incompetent and didn't know what he was doing. So Kyle essentially shut it down because he was basically running the thing for him, which kind of sucked. But a couple of the guys in the league decided to revive it with basically like the entire crew that we had and brought in a couple new people. And we created the UBA, which uploads aren't mandatory, but I'm going to be uploading because I choose to. And this could really be helpful as to getting my channel out there because a lot of these other guys do YouTube as well. So it'd be really cool to battle some other smaller YouTubers and get my name out there a little bit more. So that would be really cool. But we did draft, and I did we did just finish up recently. So I wanted to get this draft recap all together for you guys, so you guys can check out the squad. And this time I kind of wanted to work off of things that I knew and then try out some new things as well at the same time and see how it worked out. I knew right off the bat, you guys know how I draft. I pick a mega in my head and then I try to build my team around that mega. And the mega that I decided to choose is a good old friend of ours. You guys remember him from PFCFL Season 1. He is known all around as Thickums, but I decided new league, new name. We have Brute Root, the Mega Venusaur, and that's just the beautiful thing of this. Mega Venusaur is such an amazing Pokemon. Its bulk is unheard of, with 123 and 120 defenses with 80 HP. This thing's monstrous. 80 speed is nothing to laugh at. 122 special attack and 100 attack. This thing hits really hard behind all that bulk. And that bulk is backed up really nicely by the thick fat ability, which makes him, instead of being weak to ice and fire, he is actually neutral, which is really awesome. So essentially, a bulky enough set could be a switch into opposing fire types and opposing ice types, as well as other mons that this might resist. So really cool stuff. Really cool. This thing's super bulky, super powerful. It's got things like sleep powder, synthesis, sludge bomb for stab, swords dance if you want to be cheeky and run a physical set. Roar, you got Power Whip, Pedal Dance, Pedal Blizzard, Outrage. This thing can set up light screens. This thing can fire off Leaf Storms, Leech Seeds, knockoffs. This thing gets Grass, not Giga Drain, Energy Ball, Earthquake. Decent variety of moves that Mega Venusaur can hold on to, which is really awesome. This thing's bulk is the main thing that this thing is known for. This thing sits there in front of teams for a long time. If they don't have a very specific way of beating it, it's just gonna run house and sit there and never, ever die. So that right there is our beautiful, wonderful Mega Venusaur. So to build our team around this, I wanted something that could switch in to its two actual weaknesses, being Psychic and Flying. And I actually was able to get that. In the second round, which is really awesome. Because we were the 7th pick overall, so we were literally like dead center in the draft. Like we were pretty much dead center in the draft with the people that we had. We had 12 people drafting, so yeah, literally dead center. But when it came back around to us, we decided to scoop up Jirachi. Jirachi resists the flying types and the psychic types that hit the Mega Venusaur super effectively. So this is an amazing switch in to the things that might threaten our Mega. Base 100 across the board. I can build this thing appropriately to take those hits and still dish out damage. This thing, with its Serene Grace ability, is made to shit on people and flinchify them to death. This thing can paralyze off of body slams a lot better. This thing gets burns off Fire Punch, freezes off Ice Punch. This thing is absolutely insane and has a huge chance to be a threat on our team. We are nicknaming it EA. We are nicknaming this thing EA because of the third eye on its belly. Reminds me of the third eye on EA from Yu Yu Hakusho's head. So the two have something in common, and I just thought it was kind of cool of a name. So EA it is for our Jirachi. Jirachi's going to put in so much work for this team. I can't wait to get to use him. The next mon we got, I decided that I wanted something. I wanted a dark type. I wanted something that could take on. I wanted something that could also kind of switch in, but like threaten. The fire types, the dark types, the ghost types that want to try and go after my EA and try to make him suffer. And the mon that threatens them beautifully is going to be Black Star, our Greninja. Yes, we have Torrent Greninja. You cannot use Protean because Protean is banned. It is Ubers, and they keep track of that in the league format and whatnot, which is cool. But you can use Torrent Greninja. Torrent Greninja is still very, very good. It still has base 122 speed, which is insane. It's still got base 103 special attack. It's got base 95 attack. This thing can be mixed very easily. It can take a hit if it needs to. It's not very bulky, so it doesn't take too many hits, but it can take maybe one, maybe two, and hit back really, really hard against something, and that is extremely useful. The name Black Star comes from Soul Eater, the anime. I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's really good. Black Star is hilarious. He's also a ninja, so it just kind of made sense to me. But yeah, Black Star is going to put in a lot of work. This thing's coverage is, especially as of Oris, became insane. Acrobatics, Dark Pulse, Extrasensory, Grass Knot, Gunk Shot, Low Kick, Night Slash, Power Up Punch, Ice Punch, Ice Beam, Rock Slide, Skull, Shadow Sneak. Sorry about that. U-Turn, Waterfall. This thing also can set up Toxic Spikes and Spikes, which is really, really cool. I can make this thing a hazard setter for a week if I wanted to, which is awesome. So, that's really cool. Greninja is a crazy good Pokemon, and I can't wait to finally get a chance to use this thing. The next mon we got, we dove into excuse me, sorry about that. We dove into Tier 3 for our next mon. I wanted something off the ground. I wanted something to dodge those ground types, because so far everything we have gets hit by ground type moves neutrally or super effectively, and I don't like that. So I wanted something off the ground, and I really thought about this for a bit, and decided that we needed Staraptor. Yes, Staraptor, ladies and gentlemen, is our next mon, and this thing is actually really freaking threatening. Hot Topic the Staraptor, because he looks like he works at Hot Topic. This thing's a threat. Intimidate can be used to build a super duper bulky set if I choose to, and run Defog with it. Its other ability, Reckless. Reckless allows me to run moves like Brave Bird and Double Edge and gain a serious boost in power. What's the boost? I believe it is 1.2 times the power, which is really, really insane. Does so much damage. If something switches into this, if it doesn't resist the hit, it's probably taking over half. Honestly, the right spread of this thing, it's probably taking over half and getting two-shot very, very easily. Staraptor is nothing to be messed with. Staraptor is a terrifyingly powerful monster of a Pokemon that can tear through teams in the right situations, and I'm really, really excited to have Hot Topic on the squad. The next mon I wanted to complete my Firewater Grass core, and I was looking at a bunch of different fire types. I was looking at Emboar, looking at Darmanitan, but I wasn't a huge fan of either of them just because of how frail they were. I was looking at my team, and my team wasn't feeling all that bulky besides Mega Venusaur and kinda Jirachi. So I decided to go with the next best fire type in Arcanine. Juwan, our Arcanine, because Juwan is our buddy. He is the coach of the Alabama Arcanines in the IPL. He's a great friend of mine, so definitely he deserves a chance to chill out here on the team, chill out on the squad. Arcanine is just such a fantastic mon. Base 80 defenses across the board, base 90 HP, and Intimidate. This thing can eat hits for days. This one also gets Flash Fire, which allows us to be a perfect switch in to huge fire-type threats as well. 95 speed is nothing to laugh at. 110 attack and 100 special attack. This thing can be run mixed very, very easily. And a physical or special version are both very viable. This thing does get plenty of coverage in moves like Fire Blast, Flame Charge, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, Dragon Pulse, Close Combat, Crunch, Flare Blitz, I believe I said that already, Iron Head, Outrage, Wild Charge is great. Will-O-Wisp for burning things. This thing is just overall a fantastic Pokemon. Arcanine is a really, really, really good Pokemon, and I'm really excited to use it. So I can't wait until I get the chance to finally crack Arcanine open on this league. I'm really, really excited to be running this baby. The next mon I wanted some more bulk. I wanted a lot more bulk to my team, and I wanted something that wasn't going to be too worried with what we have already. So I actually ended up going with Porygon 2. Windows 8 the Porygon 2, because he's not the fully upgraded version. Most likely going to be rocking EVLite most weeks, but the reason I got Porygon 2, not just because of its insane bulk, because it's bulk, again, bulk that hits hard, bulky offense. This thing gets a lot of coverage moves: Blizzard, Discharge, Foul Play, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Signal Beam, Tri-Attack. Like, this thing gets a decent amount of moves that I can use to my advantage to, bring the right coverage moves, get Recover on the move set and whatnot, and I have a pretty much almost impossible to break wall that's going to punch holes through my opponent's team very, very easily. And with abilities like Trace, Download, and Analytic, all three of these abilities can have some viability in some cases. I've seen all three used very effectively, so I definitely look forward to testing each one out and seeing how well they can work out for me. So that is Windows 8, the Porygon 2. I'm really excited about this mon. I've never used it in Draft League, which is really, really cool. So we got two mons I've never used in Draft League already on the squad, which is great. I'm really excited about that. The next mon I also have never used in Draft League, and I actually have barely ever battled with this Pokemon. But it is really, really cool mon, and I'm really excited about it. We don't get access to its 10% or its complete form yet, but we're still wondering where Pokemon Z's at? Like, Pokemon Z? What? Pokemon Z, the Zygarde. This thing is fat. This thing's very fat dragon. 108 HP, 121 defense, 95 special defense. This thing's so fat. And that base 100 attack is really useful, because base 100 anything is just a useful stat in my opinion. This thing gets plenty of setup moves. This thing in Coil and Dragon Dance, stuff like that. This thing gets Swords Dance too. He does not make the dance of the swords. But it gets decent coverage in things like Superpower, Zen Headbutt, Stone Edge, Outrage, Extreme Speed, Earthquake, Dragon Tail, Crunch, stuff like that. Gets plenty of coverage that it needs. This thing overall is just a very insanely good mon. Very, very slept on in the Draft League format, but it has a lot of potential. And I definitely think that with the right set in certain weeks, it can pretty much either sweep or potentially clean up a late game. So that's going to be Zygarde for you. Next up, I needed a Fairy type to complete my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I wanted that completed as soon as possible. And at this point in the draft, Fairies were a tad sparse. However, there was one Fairy remaining that I have used many times before in the past. I've used it in like 3 different leagues, and every single time I've been successful with it. And that mon is Mavis the Aromatisse. You guys already know Mavis so well on the channel. Mavis is becoming like a staple here. This thing's bulk and its HP, defense, and special defense work so nicely together. Even though it's slow as balls, I mean, this thing is slow as fucking balls. This thing is the slowest fucking thing ever to exist, man. It's so fucking slow. But the fact that it's slow is perfectly fine, because Aromatisse is also an absolute monster. This thing can 1v1 make a Sableye like a god. I've done it before. This thing can just sit on the field and not be taunted and just calm mind away and have fun. Like, this thing has a lot of potential that can be tapped into if used by the right person. And I've been doing very, very well with Aromatisse. I've had a good record using Aromatisse. So I'm really excited to bring Aromatisse to this league now as well. Now, one common thing with my draft, if you noticed it, then you're a god. I have 0, and I'm going to count it right now, 1, 2, 0, hazard removal thus far on the team, which is very bad. So I needed my hazard removal ASAP, and with the amount of points that I had, I could have gotten a higher tier 1 in the free picks, but I didn't want to waste a free pick on a hazard removal mon. I'd rather grab a cheap one from tier 5 and work with my free pick later on for something a little bit better. And so with that, I actually decided to bring back another friend of the channel, and that is Stego the Armaldo, to be our rapid spinner for the team. It's a really good rapid spinner because it gets access to knockoff, so those ghost types don't want to really switch in on this thing, because the knockoff is gonna hurt from that base 125 attack stat. This thing's very, very bulky, very fat in general, has the ability to spin very easily against a lot of teams, and with the ability Battle Armor, you're not critting this thing either. You cannot get a lucky crit and KO this thing. You are going to have to work for that kill, work for the kill, and hopefully never get that kill, because Armaldo is just a good mon and can be very, very useful for the team. And I'm just really excited to use Armaldo again. I love using Armaldo. It's just such a diverse and fantastic bond to use. So, thank God we were able to scoop this thing up. Now, another issue with my team, however, though, is that I didn't have a fast electric type yet. I didn't have something that can volt switch. I have 1 U-turner, 2 U-turners, 3 U-turners so far on the team, but yet no volt switcher to go along with that to complete the volt turn core. Well, I had decided that I wanted a lower tier volt switcher to test out for the team. I wanted to try something lower tier so that we can so I wanted to test something out a little bit lower. So this mon is very interesting, very interesting. The only person I've ever seen use this in Draft League format is Miguel, aka Mega Mogwai, of the Real Marill in the GBA, and that is Racing Stripes, the Zebstrika. He referred to his as Marty, which is still a fantastic nickname. But Racing Stripes is here. Its special attack isn't all that. It's only base 80. It has better attack stat than special attack. But this thing does get Volt Switch. This thing has the ability to Volt Switch around. It's got really good abilities in Motor Drive. I believe it also gets Sap Sipper. It gets Sap Sipper and Lightning Rod as well, which are all fantastic abilities that I can use to my advantage in the right matchups. As well as being extremely fast at base 116, so it breaks that base 115 speed tier, which is really hard to break. So having a mon that beats that outside of just Greninja is really useful, because then I can build my team appropriately that way, so I can have a fast Volt Switcher on those mons. Plus it gets a lot of coverage for other things, like it gets Overheat and stuff like that. So Zebstrika is going to do a large amount of damage to teams if I can use him right. And I'm really excited to test them out, so hooray for Zebstrika. As for the last pick, though, I wanted something that could spin block. I needed a ghost type, and I had 160 points left, or something like that, 140, 160 points left for my last free pick. So I had plenty of room. I could basically go tier 2 and below. But I saw a gem in tier 3 that I just couldn't miss. I have it currently right now in the PFL majors. This beautiful creature is known as the mighty and powerful Doublade. Excalibur's the Doublade is here again. Excalibur's is going to be our spin blocker supreme for this league, because not too many things that are spinning have ways that can absolutely destroy a Doublade, because Doublade is almost impossible to destroy. Like, this thing is so fat, so bulky, it can sit on a field, it can set up, and it can just tear through an opponent's team, and it's a really beautiful thing to see. I've done it before with Doublade, I can do it again against other people, and I'm really excited to try it here. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be our draft for the UBA. Just as a quick review for those of you who skipped to the end, we have Mega Venusaur, Jirachi, Greninja, Staraptor, Arcanine, Porygon 2, Zygarde, Aromatisse, Armaldo, Zebstrika, and Doublade. If you guys like our draft, please make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any comments you might have about the draft, any changes you might consider making, because, I do have, trades and such later. But any trades you'd like, I might need to make or whatever, please make sure to let me know down below. That'd be great. I guess that'll be all for now. Without further ado, I am PokePrimer,